it's almost like a responsibility on me, or like on my generation, like what will you do, you know what I mean, to like give that back, because this is what's happening. Like people are making this like a tourist town, you know.
Yeah.
They found out that it's beautiful and that it's cheap and that people will work for cheap, and they found another one, you know what I mean. So it is like gutting. And then at the same time I'm like, well, let that fuel you. What will you do?
What's good, familia? Welcome to Hella Latina podcast, where I hand the mic back to people, the first gens, the immigrants, the Latinos, the brown people, because if we don't tell our story, who will?
Yay. Hi.
Ah! We here.
I can't believe it.
You're my first Belizean on here.
Hi. So happy to be here.
Hi. Okay, there's so many things I want to say. One is I went to Belize recently with Nadia,
Yes.
who you met.
Yeah.
We went to Belize because
Oh
she
my
was
gosh.
so called. She's from LA. She's grew up around a lot of Belizeans. And so she's like, I'm really called to go to Belize. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's go. Because I want to go through all Central America. Now, when I went to Belize,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there's such a different identity in Belize. And it's not, you're surrounded by Latin America. Or
Yeah.
you're surrounded by, I should say, Central America. And
Yeah.
you still have a very different experience.
Yeah, they would like I think it can be coined as being like Latino adjacent, you know what I mean? Because we are between Guatemala and Mexico, but the, like you said, like the identity is pretty different. Like it's really Caribbean in its nature, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are those like influences in so many different ways, like whether you're on like in Belize or even in like coming to America, like there's distinctions and there's similarities. So it's so, I don't know, I think that's like what makes being here so special to like talk with you, because you know, it's Latina like led podcast, and like that's what like you're here to talk about, but we're in the middle. We're kind of like in the mix of all these things, so it's an honor to be here to talk with you.
Yes, girl. And all of our histories are so intertwined, because at one point it was British Honduras.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Exactly.
Just saying we was one at one point.
Yeah.
But I want to start the way I start every podcast.
Talk
How
to
do you
me.
identify and why?
Yes. Well, I identify as being Belizean-American, first generation. And I identify with that because my culture, my heritage is all innately Belize, you know, from how I dress to how I speak to what's spoken at home to how we do things, and just to the really unique like shared experience. Like it is like in and of itself just like fully Belizean. So yeah, that's how I identify.
You know, I remember inviting you to this because before I invited you, actually, I asked you, wait, do you consider yourself Latina? And you're like, well,
Yeah.
well, I'll ask you now. Do you see yourself as Latina?
I don't, and really it's not like I said, like it's more like we're Latino adjacent, like, you know what I mean? Like we have so many shared experiences from, you know, whether it be like family members, grandparents, parents, or, you know, even present day, like family members like immigrating to like the US and like starting new and like bringing culture here and like starting entire families here and things like that. Like there's that shared experience. But I think what really makes being, you know, Belizean its own experience is like we kind of like go through like a bit of an identity crisis, and it might not be like a fully shared experience across for like all Belizeans, but I know, you know, in speaking to like my siblings or like other Belizeans that I do know, it's like, where do we fall in, you know, like where do we fall in the line of being Black in America, because we are by like skin color, some of us, and then also like being Latino adjacent, but like we're not from a Spanish speaking country, but we have so much like Latin influence within like our culture. So yeah, it's a really, really nuanced experience that honestly I don't think I talk about enough. So it's, again, just an honor to be able to talk about it with you.
It's an honor to have you and to create some unity, because even being in Belize, I was so surprised to see so many Hondurans there. Girl, the way I was meeting Hondurans left and right. And then my dad was telling me, like, you know, your tío lives out there. He married a Belizean. And I was like, wait, what?
And then it's also like, how do, you know, like the Hondurans and like the Guatemalans and, you know, even those that like may have like come down from Mexico, like the ones that have begun families and like started like their own lives like within Belize, like how do you identify? Do you identify as being Belizean, or do you identify, you know, with like your roots and like your culture? I think it's a similar experience for like Belizeans in America. Like, do you identify as being Black? Do you identify as being like Latino? Do you identify as being, you know, Belizean? Like, how do you identify? It's all these layers.
And you speak so many languages there.
Yeah. Well, you know, like English is the primary language, and it's one of the, I think it's the only country in Central America where English is the primary language. Yeah. But, you know, like my family, and I think for most Belizeans, like we speak Creole. Like that's like how we grow up, is like fully like, in other cultures, I guess you would call it like patois, or like, you know, Jamaican patois, or it's called something else too. But for us, we call it Creole. So that's and there's my language.
Also Garifuna, which Garifuna is, and that's where the shared connection was with Honduras. I was like, oh my God, because, you know, like Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, or Belize, there's a huge Garifuna community. And like that history is not always shared. And then on top of that, I think you also speak Spanish. Some of the people speak Spanish.
For sure. My parents speak fluent Spanish.
Oh, they do?
Fluent. So like I understand so much Spanish, but I also understand very clearly Creole, and I speak no Creole. I speak no Spanish, but that's also attributed to like me being born and raised here. You know, it's a little bit different. So like Spanish is spoken at home. Spanish was also spoken in like the school communities that like I was in, and like just like the friends that like I made. But like Creole was spoken at home, and like either way, like I'm responding in English because that's what like my teachers are teaching me, and that's like what we're supposed to do at school. And then like when I go home, it's like my parents, I think that can also be, you know, in just conversations that I've had, like it can be the difference in maybe like my experience is with Belizean culture, it's like you assimilate. Like, you know, like when you come to America, you assimilate. Like you need to go to school, you need to be good at that, you need to work hard, and like emotions, you leave them out of like these things because you just need to go and be good because that's why we're here, kind of like a thing. And so I got a lot of that, like growing up. Like the way that I speak, I think, you know, if I have like a little drink in me, sometimes like I'll get like a little bit of like that
the Creole comes out?
Yeah, the Creole will like come out. I've heard that so many times, but like the way that I speak sounds very like I'm born and raised in California. Like I speak proper English, but my dad was really, really intense about that. He's like, you speak English properly. Like there's no slang, so none of that. And there's also like correct what you say. Like, so even if like we are, you know, amongst like family and friends and things like that, it's fine here. But when you leave, or like when we're talking to other people, none of it, you know? It's really interesting.
How did you make sense of that?
I didn't. I didn't. I think, you know, my experience with my dad and my mom was a little bit different. Like my mom is, she still has her accent, you know? And like my uncle and her have been super close all my life. And you would think my uncle never left Belize. Like he's got the flag up. Like all he listens to is like punta and reggae, and
okay,
like that's it all day, every day. But you know, my dad was like really, really intense about. We came to America. We came to make a better life. He joined the military. He was like an EMT. He did like all of these like public service works, and he was like, yeah, like my kids are going to make it, and you guys are going to be really smart, and I don't want anybody to ever think less of you, and I never want you to think less of yourself either. So if assimilation is what you must do, then go and do it, and you do it well. You never forget who you are. You never forget where you come from, but you do it within the safe space of here. And when you walk out those doors, you make sure that you are on it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of, it's like your parents want the best for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's a lot to that.
And they knew, they're like, this is the way that they thought it was meant to do. How have you kind of continued that, or maybe discontinue some of those lessons?
Yeah, it's really it's really difficult. It's really difficult. I think I have so much pride for like who I am and like where my family is from. Like I will always carry that with me when Independence Day comes around, when like the holidays come around, when like I hear a song from like my childhood, like I still carry that with me. And I think, to be honest, like working in corporate America, corporate white America, like going to like a white private Christian school, and like just like having these different experiences, it has been like really disorienting, you know, to know like, am I allowed to be myself here? Yeah. Like, am I safe to be myself here? And if I'm not, then I always know where the safe space is, and it's always with my family. You know what I mean? Like, it's always that. And I just, just speaking to, you know, like, even how we talk about, like, you know, do you identify as being like Latina? I feel like that is like a shared experience with like our two community groups. You know what I mean? 100%. Like, you're always safe with family, even if it's a little dysfunctional, even if it's a little crazy sometimes. Like, there's a safety of like, we get each other. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Listen, now I know you're not a Belizean historian, but can you give us for those that are trying to understand or make sense of the Belizean experience? Yeah. Can you give us, if you know, a little bit of like a Belizean history, like 101, like 101, I mean, like what's, give us the history, the breakdown.
Super 101. So we were colonized by the British.
That's how every story starts.
That's how they all start.
Listen, every indigenous group is having a good time, and then here come a European. Every single time.
And you know, there are a few different groups of Belizeans. So there's the indigenous. So those are the ones that were there for, you know, however many years. And then there's the Mayan groups that I think actually descended from Guatemala, like into Belize. So that's where like a lot of that kind of comes from too. And then there's the Garifunu, like you mentioned, which is going to be down in like the south side of Belize, and those are like almost like African indigenous like folks, like the first. And then there are the like Creole, who kind of like blend a bit of like the colonizers mixed with like West African enslaved like folks that came and then mingled in with like the, you know, like the English or like the British and that kind of group. So there are a few different people groups, but 1981 we were freed.
And people don't know this.
Yes,
this is recent.
So recent.
1980s.
It is like the same age as my oldest brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's crazy to think about, you know, like so much of that still influences how we maneuver even there, you know what I mean? Like English is the primary language, and Creole is spoken, but like even in schools it's like this is how you speak proper English, kind of like a thing. So yeah, that's a bit of just like the people groups, a bit of like the history of colonization, trying to think of what else. And then I think, you know, like we mentioned, I don't know if we were mentioning this just now, but we mentioned how there's a really large population of like Belizeans in LA. So I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it's definitely like the 60s. I do know a little bit, like the 60s was when there was like a law or like an act here in like the US that like allowed for like immigration or like open borders, kind of like a thing. And during that time, like
there was a time.
There was a time. Listen, it was a great time. There was a time. And it's really what brought my family here, you know. Like a lot of Belizeans immigrated to LA
in the 60s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my parents came a few decades after that, but in the 60s, this is where people were going. They were going to Houston, they were going to New York, they were going to LA, they were going to all like the big cities. So that's how you get like, you know, these pockets of a beautiful Belizean culture. LA is still one of like, to me, one of like the rich pockets of it, because like I said, I live in Little Belize here in LA too.
So tell me about that. Tell me about why your family immigrated over.
Yeah, my mom, so two different storylines with like my parents, but my mom was the oldest of 15. So she was like, I am going to America to get stability and to have like a better life. She's the oldest. 15.
15.
Happy birthday. She just turned 65.
Happy birthday. Oh, I saw. Yeah. Happy birthday, mama.
Yeah. So she immigrated here. And she was like cleaning houses, and she was like living with like friends of friends and nannying and taking care of, you know, all kinds of things. And then she ended up going to school. She moved to New York. She met my dad. I'm not really too sure like what brought my dad to America, but I know that he was also hustling, you know what I mean? So that's a bit about my family. I kind of lost track of like the question. I can like go on and on.
Yeah. Well, this is why I ask it, because I think that the first gen experience, our story is so rooted in their immigration story. And to understand, it's a big quote that I always say, si no sabes de donde vienes, nunca sabrás a donde vas. So if you don't know where you come from, you'll never know where you're going.
Right.
And to understand the immigration story, and to understand like we're children of that sacrifice. We're children of that immigration story. There's a bravery, there's a fearlessness, there's also this sense of pride that they did all that and that we get to carry on their tradition and also create new waves.
Yeah.
New cycles, girl.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think this is so funny to like say this now, like the things that like my siblings and I have achieved and like accomplished, like I don't think my parents like ever would have foresaw, but it's exactly like what they would have wanted and what they want, you know, for us. So I know that they're really, really proud, and it's a good thing. It's a nice feeling, because like I said, my mom came to America and she was cleaning houses and she was taking care of kids and then trying to figure out, you know, schooling, and then also trying to figure out being like a young mom, and then like being married and all kinds of things like within that. And then also too, right, like you're navigating being in America as like an immigrant. And I think the unique experience also of like being like Belizean is like you're Black, like in color for some of us, and that's how you portray. And it's a different experience than like just being African American. Like being Belizean American is a different experience. And I was actually just talking to my mom about this before, you know, we hopped on to chat today. And like there were so many things that if I didn't have older siblings that were in the American school system, I would have never understood or like known or been able to like piece together. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And I want to rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I want to rabbit hole into that because here's the thing, like I want to draw more community in all of our experiences, because even if we don't speak the same language, have the same culture, listen to the same music, although we do listen to punta, we have that in common.
Yes.
One thing that draws us all together or connects us all is that we all feel this thread of trying to do better.
Of course, yeah.
And trying to make our parents' sacrifices worth it.
Yeah.
And also like we all live in the in-between. But for you, my girl, you live in the in-between in a lot of different spaces.
Yeah.
You live in the in-between of being a first generation, being a child of immigrants, being here. You're in the in-between of like not having a Black American experience, but you're also Belizean and you are Afro. And so how do you make sense of identity when you're consistently in the in-between? You're part of Latin America, but you don't identify as Latina. You're Latina adjacent. So how do you navigate the in-between? How do you converge like all these different identities that make you who you are into one and how do you like fit in, like how do you fit into all these spaces? Or where do you not?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Honestly, I think, you know, everybody's experience is a bit unique, so like when I say these things, like I speak for myself, but it hasn't really been like a very clean and clear experience, just like navigating all of these different layers of things, you know, like you go to school. Can think of like my earliest like childhood experiences and not understanding certain things about like African American culture or like Black culture like in America, but like being like, oh, but like I look like you guys, so cool, like let's like hang out. and you know, I think it was just like maybe like certain topics of conversation or even like music, you know, like things were a bit different. I'm feeling like an oddball, you know, for like not knowing.
I'm curious, is there a specific experience where you're like, oh, I'm a little different?
No, none like in particular. I can think of like going to like kids parties and stuff like that. And, you know, people like kids like knowing how to dance like a certain way that like, oh, like that's not how like I move my body because the rhythm in like our music is a little bit different. Or, you know, like when we do dance, like we dance like this kind of like a thing. And I'm like, oh, well, like that's really cool. Like I want to learn how to, you know, sea walk. Like I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know how to do that. But like that's cool. It's not like I don't have rhythm. I just I don't know how to move my body like that. Right. You know, and it's like weird things like that can feel like it kind of takes like some of like, you know, in Black culture, it's like you say like you take your Black card a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, like the amount of times that I think I've been told that, it's like, but it's not because I'm not Black. It's because like the way that I grew up was a little different. And then right, like being like Latino adjacent, like I understood a lot of things that like maybe like my like Hispanic or like Latino friends like were doing, and you know, like shared experiences with like family and culture and like what we do on the weekends, like how we wake up to music blasting like in Spanish, like, you know what I mean, because my mom was all about that. And you know, just certain other experiences that would take place, but like I'm not Latina. Like, you know what I mean? And even if I wanted to play that up like a little bit, or, you know, say like, I do fit in, like, I don't look like it, you know? So like I get pushed out of that as well. So it's like you said, navigating just the appearance in between was one thing, and then navigating all of the nuances within like each cultural group was also another thing. And I think for me, what I really, you know, have almost like transmuted that into is just like being a bridge a bit, and really just like learning to like embrace everybody, because I'm like, I never really feel like I like fit in like any one given place, but like I embrace everything that you are and everything that you bring. And I think that if there is one thing that brings us all together, is that we all have a bit of like a difference between us, you know what I mean? So for me, I think that that's been like my biggest thing. And my mom is a lot like that too. I think that she's taught me a lot of that, you know, because like I said, coming to America, trying to make friends, like being married, having kids, and then putting your kids to the system, but then working in America and trying to work like all of these different jobs and things like that. Like she was really, really social. And so like she had like lots of like Filipino friends, and, you know, like friends from like all of these different like people groups. And I think for me, I'm like, yes, like we can just all like get along and embrace the fact that, you know, like we have our own cultural richness. And once we bring that to the table and embrace it for one another, we create like a different kind of space. And I think that that is the magic in being who you are and standing in like your own pride of like your people group and your culture.
All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break, because support your girl if you want to keep listening to these conversations. I have shirts, Hella Latina, Hella Brown hats, Hella Brown anything that you want, and also have Hella Brown, Hella Worthy candles. 50% of the proceeds go to Chirla, an immigration rights organization. You know what I'm hearing is like you're in the in-between, so you can see everyone.
Yeah.
And you can almost like see yourself in everyone.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I get it.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that any better. I think that's exactly it.
Girl,
Yeah.
that's what you said. I'm just repeating it back.
No, that's it.
And you know, what's beautiful about you too is that I see it in the office. You know, we work together.
Yeah.
And I see it in the way that you just embody all these differences, and you're able to work in a system where it is very global, and it is you work with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And being able to just see it and accept it and just hold space for it.
Yeah.
Has that always come naturally?
I think so, you know, and I think it comes from like a place of like wanting that for myself, you know, like in rooms where like maybe like space like really wasn't held for me, and I'm like, well, I'll create my own space, and whoever feels other can come here, you know what I mean? Like whoever needs to belong. I actually recently just started like an initiative for something similar to that, where it's like I'm just throwing like community gatherings, and it's called the Belonging. And it's like I'm creating the spaces where like little me belongs, and like where, you know, like I get to just like bring together other people that maybe feel other as well, you know.
What does that look like to belong?
Great question. I think it just means to like feel seen and also feel free, you know what I mean? Like if I could like put it shortly, it's like I see you, and like I give you the freedom to be, you know what I mean? I think that that is so key and in belonging, because we're not going to be the same. Some people I think can confuse belonging with like we're the same, but if you're giving somebody like space and like allowing them their authenticity, then that's what belongs, you know, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, I want to gas you up more.
Oh my gosh.
Because speaking to that, because you just said belonging, people think it means being the same. It's not. And I love that you said that, because people don't realize authenticity means to just be.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean to be anybody else but you.
Yeah.
There's no one way to be Latina. There's no one way to be a human. There's so many paths, you know? One thing that you embody, and I hope you know this, is uniqueness. Like you naturally embody it. You walk into a room. Someone just said you're a Doja Cat. Someone just said you look like Doja Cat. You know what I mean? You walk with this energy of like, this is who I am, and you're gonna hold space for it. And if you don't want to hold space, I'm gonna hold space for myself anyway. So
thank you. I'm gonna start crying. Made me start crying. No, thank you so much. And you know, it's so interesting to hear that, because I don't know that I always see myself that way, but I think I've had to learn to be that way. If that's how I portray, it's an adaptation of just like so many experiences that we're not that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I literally was just going to ask you, because I can't picture you any other way. You know, sometimes you meet someone and it's like, that's the box I see you in. I can't see you any other way. But what did it take for you to get there?
Oh my gosh. So many experiences of feeling not included, you know, so many experiences of feeling left out, or you don't belong, you know, because you're not the same, or because we don't understand, or that's cool, but it's a little too much, or that's cool, but it's not my taste. Let me go, you know, do this with somebody else who has my taste, kind of a thing. And yeah, so I feel like my flavor, like as a person, whether that be culturally, socially, you know, an appearance or whatever the case might be, is so eclectic sometimes that I've had to kind of just create my own safety bubble. And like I said, leave room for other people to just come and be free and come and belong and come and be their authentic self. Because I think mentally, day over day, still, like, I fight to feel okay with that. But I know that the resilience of that is my parents, like, that's what they would want for me, and they love me. You know what I mean? And I'm resilient through and through, generations deep. So that's what we're going to do. Like, we're just going to show up and we're just going to do it.
Was there like a turning point? Was there a moment where you're like, yeah, I'm going to just wear this? Or yeah, I'm going to just do my own thing? Or yeah, I'm going to just, like, was there a moment, or was there several moments? Or was there a pivotal one that you can remember that was just like, yeah, I'm going to just own it?
Oh my gosh. I think that there have been moments where it's so many things at one time that you feel like you want to, like, almost like scream a little bit. You're like, like, I'm overstimulated because I'm in, like, maybe a melting pot of, you know, people that are different than me, or that, like, don't accept me for, like, who I am, and I want to assimilate, but it's not working. Or, like, I really like this music and I feel like, like, every time I don't get to just be myself, this is so hard. And then you kind of combust and you're like, okay, I just have to just do it, even if it feels like it's killing me to, like, not be included or to not be a part. Like, I just have to do it. And I think that moment for me came somewhere after high school, like, and somewhere in college. Like I mentioned, I was in, like, an all white, mostly white, I should say, private Christian school. And it almost felt like the assimilation was being mirrored back to me so much through all of the other people groups, that I was like, oh, I get it, and I understand, I hold space for it, but I don't like what I see in that, because you should just be you. And then I'm like, well, maybe I should just be me, you know? And I think that was kind of like the turning point for me.
It's the way that you just even said that. You saw it and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that. But you're like, to change it, I have to change.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
to just be me.
And you gave me chills, like, even in saying that back, because I'm kind of going through that period again right now, you know. I'm going, and I think that it's like a reoccurring like experience of just, like, re-becoming, you know, or like re-embracing yourself, whether that's, like, the newer version of yourself, or the version of yourself that you started to water down, or the version of yourself that you began to assimilate again, that you just need, that it needs to be free, it needs to be authentic, it needs to belong to you again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
When do you feel the most free? Like, what are you doing? What are you listening to?
That's such a great question. It's been a while since I've been
This was
free.
not in my card deck. This literally just came out. This just came from me. I'm like, what does it feel like? What does freedom feel like?
Oh, that's such a great and beautiful question. What does freedom look like to me? What does that feel like? I see myself, I'm a traveler, you know, like, I like to be on the move, and I like to be around people, and I like good music.
You're a Sagittarius.
I am a Sagittarius.
You know.
She's fire. Yeah, anything on the move, anything with music, and anything with good people, you know, I feel my most free. If you put all of those together, I'm, like, soaring. You know what I mean? I love a live concert. Like, that's my quick escape. I love a social gathering with just, like, good conversation, you know, not the small talk. Like, I love a good conversation. I love being here, you know, like, whenever like I get the opportunity to come to Sueños.
Shout out.
Yeah. Sorry, did I burn the spot?
No, okay. I love it. Shout out to Sueños.
Yeah, and, you know, that's good people, good music, and just being on the move. for some reason, and this might just be the SoCal in me, is like, I always think of Joshua Tree as freedom, because there's just like so much of different things, but there's also a whole lot of nothing out there. You know what I mean? You look up to the stars, you can get lost. Or there's like a little, like, you know, rinky dink like bar down the street, and it's just a random person that just wants to talk to you, and things just feel so neutral there. So yeah, just on the move. Yeah. On the move. Yeah.
I'm trying to draw a line.
Yes.
Is that from your childhood? Did you feel that in your childhood? Good music, good people, conversations.
Yeah.
Discovery.
You should be like a therapist. Yeah, because you were hitting it. You were hitting it. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. If I can think of moments in childhood where I felt the best, I was right over here on Western, you know, like, or somewhere in like Little Belize in LA. And it was most likely one of like my uncles, you know, everybody's family. You go to like somebody's house, and it's like all the kids that you remember from the party last week. Right. And the music is playing, the adults are singing, they're dancing, and like you're just like running around, and the freedom is like the adults are just like letting you be kids, and you get to run up and down the street and just have like a good time. Yeah, I feel like that definitely goes back to childhood. Like I can feel myself like reliving that as I say it. So
that's beautiful. Can you paint a picture? Like what does a Belizean childhood look like? Because you're saying Little Belize, very much Belizean. Yes. What are you eating? What are you listening to?
Oh, I love this question.
What's happening?
You know,
what's happening?
I love this question.
Bring us into it.
Yeah. Well, I can see like a Saturday morning. It's, you know, the music is on, whatever my mom is feeling like listening to and belting out.
What's a song? Give me like a song.
I hear her right now. I hear her listening to Whitney Houston because, you know, she gets into her American flair. But it can be all kinds of music. It could be so many different things, so many different genres. And I hear that. She's like, all right, everybody get up. You know, the big clap. They open the blinds. Get up, get up, get up. We got somewhere to be at 1:00, so get up. And I need you to clean this and clean that and clean that and clean that. And it needs to be done in 45 minutes. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you're like, ah. And I have siblings, so it makes that experience even more beautiful. And we do the things. We groan and, you know, moan about it. And then we're getting dressed and we're excited because now we're going to the party, we're going to the function, we're going to whatever. And my mom has most likely cooked, you know, some like rice and red beans. She's cooked maybe like some stewed chicken. She's maybe made like a potato salad to bring. And we're heading to somebody's house and we know that it's going to be the whole day. Like we get there at 1, we're early. The party starts at 1:30, but we're early. And then we're there.
Does the party actually start at 1:30?
No. Yeah. It never does.
You know?
People are still cleaning. It's like people don't start showing up.
You're part of setup crew is what you are.
You know? Yeah. Like we had to work this morning and we got to work this afternoon.
You know, always working.
Crazy. So maybe there's a jumper outside.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah. And it's like you can't get into the jumper until you help me get all this stuff out the car, help your auntie with this. And then we are there until, if it's an early night, we're there until 11:30, midnight. And if it's a later night, you know, my mom, like, we're sleeping on the plastic chairs, like in the little tent, and the music kind of changes through the night. And like toward like the end of the night, like it's like the slower reggae and stuff like that. It's the couples dancing. It's like, you know, all those kinds of things. And we're sleeping on like the little plastic chairs. So that's like a Saturday childhood that I can remember very, very distinctly.
Listen, now I don't know if we need a new term, but that sounds Latina to me.
Listen,
you know,
that's what
that sounds hella Latino
experience.
To me. I'm like, maybe the term Latino just needs to go. We just need to create a new term.
Shared experience.
Because that is literally, girl, those plastic chairs were the bed.
Hello?
You know, and or like the stack of clothes. The stack of clothes. Yeah.
Yes. You gotta figure out how to fit on it. And then when it's like you know when you have to like start speaking up about things because it's like I am too big for this now. You know, I don't fit here anymore. You know. Yeah. I gotta go find a couch. There's already a 15-year-old on the couch. Like,
you know. That part.
I'm 7. I don't fit on these the same way.
Man. And you gave me like trauma thinking about the waking up that early to clean. Because then we were always the house that people came over to. Oh, so we had to clean extra.
Yeah.
And then it was also like, why do I need to clean my room? No one's going to go in my room. But everyone went in my room.
Of course.
Every single time.
And anytime you, like, at least for us, it's like anytime like you wanted to do the talk back, like, oh, nobody's going in here. So just because you think nobody's coming in here, that means you don't have to clean this up. I told you to pick that up on Tuesday anyway. Now, you know what? Now you need to pick all of this stuff up too. Let me see what else is going on. Girl. And you just opened the can of worms. You just shouldn't have said anything.
Nope.
You just shouldn't have said anything. You should just did what you were told and just called it a
day. You know what's the thing in my house? If you did that, girl.
What?
Girl. That was because we couldn't talk back, but we thought we can be slick and be like,
oh, the teeth suck?
Oh, girl.
That was as good as saying, shut up. Don't even try it. You know what's
funny? Because so much of and this is why I wanted to do the drop back, because it always goes back to childhood. Mm-hmm. Always. Yeah. Like where we feel most free, where we like also gain our little bit of trauma. Like all the things trace back to childhood.
For sure.
There was a moment I was telling my dad, I do go through rabbit holes.
I love it.
Random things.
I'm here for it.
And I'm telling my dad about something I learned. And then he was like, you used to always be like this as a kid. Mm-hmm. Like you used to always be like, why? And like everyone would get annoyed and they're like, just shh. Like, no, we don't want to talk about why.
Yeah.
But speaking of childhood, this is not the point. I just wanted to talk about the rabbit hole. Yeah. But the point was every Saturday morning was the same, right? Mm-hmm. You wake up early, music is playing.
Right.
I guess at oficio. That's what I guess at oficio. There's things to do. Come on. And my mom said one day, I'm the one that got up early, the youngest. I'm the youngest of 7. I'm the one that got up early. And I was like, okay, guys, everyone gets away.
But that's very youngest coded.
But
that's very youngest coded because I'm youngest too.
You're the youngest too?
Yeah.
We just take it on. We're like, okay, we got it.
Right.
We'll take it on.
Because you also are like the one that's like closest to your parent in like a certain way too. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you already know what she's going to ask for. You already know, like you want to kind of be like sidekick. So I was never the one moaning and groaning. It was usually my brother that's like a year and some change older than me. And I'm like, please get up, please, because you got to make me look good. Get up. Get up.
You know, we get a bad rap too because people say this youngest sibling always has the most love and is the most spoiled. I'm like, I think we just learn from y'all. We just learn what not to do. And then we do it better.
Listen, if my siblings are listening to this, I hope that you just heard that. Because to this day.
No, you didn't have it hard as us. You didn't have it like, we're like, we just made better decisions.
I got to watch and learn, baby.
But how does it, speaking to that, what does it feel like to be the youngest for you? Because I know I can talk about it all day, but like being the youngest sibling, being the youngest one, being first generation, how do you make sense of like, what am I trying to ask? What does life look like for you as the youngest?
Yeah.
What do you internalize? What have you taken away from it?
So much, honestly. And it's so interesting because literally to the point that you made a second ago, like you learn so much of what you don't want to do. And I also have siblings in, like, we have different gaps. So my oldest brother is, I think he's 13 years older than me. And then my sister is 11, and then I have a brother that's really close to me, so we were in pairs. So you learn from like this older, more mature group, like, ooh, okay, my mom doesn't like it when you say that, she doesn't like it when you do that, you be doing this, that's kind of cool, okay, take that away. And then I have like my sidekick, who's like my brother that's closest to my age. So, you know, being the youngest, it definitely is like you learn a lot from your older siblings, and then you adapt and adjust. And I think I always really looked up to all of my older siblings too. Yeah. You know, my mom entrusted them with a lot. My oldest, for sure.
Did they raise you too?
Not so much, but like my mom was working a lot. So, you know, we spent a lot of time with like the 2 older ones and, you know, running around with them and doing things with them. So like I also wanted to be really mature and like being really cool to hang out with like my sister's friends and, you know, be like my brother's passenger seat. My oldest brother's like passenger seat and just roll around with him all day. And then I wanted to be cool enough for the brother that like I was really close with because he was the more outgoing one. He's a Leo.
You know, my brother's Sagittarius and I'm a Leo. And we're the closest in age.
Yeah.
Out of all of that's
beautiful.
Yeah.
This makes sense.
This makes sense.
Then you get it. Yeah.
The Sag to my Leo.
Yeah. So, you know, we were running around a lot and he was just like the more outgoing one. He was the one that was making friends. So I learned a lot from him too. And I think just a lot of absorbing at like that younger age, and then fused in with, you know, immigrant parent expectations, and it kind of like made me a bit of like a perfectionist in some ways. Like, you know, you absorb what not to do so much that's all you think about, like what am I not supposed to be doing, kind of like a thing. So I think I embody that more than I'm aware of sometimes. And maybe if that's where like the older sibling thing is like, oh, you got it so easy, or like you're so baby, or like, you know, all of those things. It's like, I just want to be perfect. Like, you know, like I want to impress you guys, and I don't want to get in trouble by parent. And like, I want to be able to go into the world as confidently as you guys looked like you did. And I want to be cool like you guys looked like you were. And I want to be, you know what I mean? So that's what the baby is. The B in baby stands for I want to be.
The B in baby. And I asked that because, yes, it's that. It's like the perfectionist complex of like, I don't want to be a burden to my parents, and they're tired. They've been working. They've had all y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be the easy one. I want to be the one that doesn't make life harder. I want to be the one that makes life easier. And like, I want my siblings to be proud of me, and it's almost like you're the last chance too. Like, okay, I can't mess it up. I got to be good. How do you like, I think we always talk about unlearning. Now, I don't think we need to unlearn everything. I think being a perfectionist has its value. Sure. But it could be a detriment, right? Because you're always, the margin of error is like non-existent. Yeah. So how do you give yourself grace?
Oh my gosh.
And this is a lesson for all of us. And I'm selfishly, I'm asking as the youngest sibling. So I'm like, how do you give yourself grace?
Yeah. I think what we touched on earlier too, it's that experience of just like, when I see something mirrored to me where I'm like, I see another perfectionist, or I see another person who is like striving and they're not being enough, I'm like, oh, undo it, like relax a little bit. And then I like look at myself and I'm like, oh, I need to also embody this. Like I can.
You're like, oh yeah, my shoulders are up too.
Yeah, I need to also just like give myself this permission. So I think I'm observant. The youngest, like very observant. And when I observe, I'm looking and I'm like, I want to embody more peace. I want to embody more grace. I want to embody more acceptance, and I want to give that to other people too. So I must first do it. That's my philosophy for it now, you know, as an older version of like the baby, you know what I mean? In high school and college, it was non-existent. It was non-existent. But
it's
now,
like a pressure. Like you were like, oh my God, pressure. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm holding this on no one else is holding this over me. Yeah. It's me. I'm holding the pressure over me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like you'll end up like running so fast and just like trying to get so much done that you never actually look back and like appreciate it. And then you're just exhausted, and like you have like surpassed everything that you thought that you were capable of, and then some, and you're still the baby, and like there's still so much life to live. So I'm learning to kind of give and take with that a little bit and do the dance, because that drive has really been so substantial for like where like I've made it and like all of my dreams and goals and like, you know, feeling fulfilled. But now it's also tiring me out, so it's like honoring both the push and pull. Yeah.
What's your relationship to Belize? Do you go back? Do you
often?
Like how often do you go back?
Yeah, so my mom's entire family is still there. I go back probably, if not every year, it's been about like every other year.
Since you were young?
No, actually more recently, because I think, you know, when my parents first moved here, like our family, we didn't have money. So like it wasn't something that we were doing unless there was like something going on in the family, you know? But now as like we've gotten older, we have like younger kids in the family. It's really important that like we get to show them like their heritage too. Like this summer, my nieces had their first visit to Belize, and it was just so neat to like be like, I've been here maybe 2 or 3 times before you got to come, so I can tell you all the cool things to see over here, and I can show you around like these spaces. And I think now as like our family continues to multiply, like we just go back more and more so that we can make sure that they know where they're from, you know. Multiply and diversify, you know.
That's beautiful. What was your first trip back?
Sorry, I feel like I have something here.
No, you're good. Okay. And I asked that because when I went back to Honduras, I was like, oh, this land feels familiar. Like the very first time. And this was this year. Yeah. Where I went back for the first time, and I'm like, oh, this is where I'm from. Oh my God, this is why I move the way I do. Oh, y'all say this. You know what I mean? Like it was such a weird experience because it felt like my home, how I grew up, obviously as a country. And I'm like, oh my God, this is all familiar. This is all, even though I'm not from this land, I am. Yeah. You know?
it's so empowering to me, honestly. Even in going back, I am other there because now I'm American. You know what I mean? And that's how I show up in that space to even to like my family. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my American cousin, or like you show up and like I'll hear people like speaking Creole and like they're talking about me and like saying like, oh, she's not from here or whatever, and I'll like turn around, I'm like, okay. Like, you know, so there's a bit of that, but I think for me, within like my own like intrinsic experience, is like I feel empowered to know that the other that I feel at home in America has its roots somewhere that is real, and has its roots like in an experience that, and not even just like an experience, but in like a beautiful place, you know. Like I look around at like all of the greenery, I see all of the food that like I'm familiar with, I see all of the wildlife, and I feel at home, you know what I mean, in a way that maybe I don't always feel when I'm here. So there's a bit of that experience for me, for sure.
What part of Belize are you from? You mentioned the regions, or like the different groups. What part are you from?
So my family, my mom's family specifically, we're from Creole. Yeah. So if you know Belize, it's kind of like,
I'm like, where did I go? I went to Hopkins.
Yeah, Hopkins is beautiful.
I love Hopkins.
And that's where a lot of Garifuna people are from.
Oh yeah, and you saw it. You saw Mayans and Garifuna. It was like, whoa, hey.
Yeah. So our family is from Creole. So like a lot of my mom's family now lives in like Belize City, and then Creole, I believe, is about like 30 or 40 minutes inland and north, so just like a bit west and north, and it's super small, but it's really rich. And again, anywhere that you go in Belize, it's just like everybody is family, kind of like a thing. You know we're, it's kind of like here too, like, you know, if that person's from Long Beach versus like LA, but it's like, you know, like, oh, she's from Hopkins, that's cool, like you made a really long drive. And I mean, Belize, the country itself is, I don't even know how long. I wish I knew right off the top of my head right now, but it is only a few, like maybe like 100 something miles, if that. Like it's not very long, and it's not very wide. So yeah.
So we went to, it was like the border of we saw Honduras from our jungle. We were like in a jungle area. I forget what the name of it was. Yeah. And then we went to Hopkins. That was like a drive, girl. But they're like, yeah, you're going to like the other side. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. And girl, Hopkins is beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Fell in love with the people. Yeah. Fell in love with the people. Yeah. I did not fall in love with the tourism that is happening, and how they're just a lot of people are coming in and buying lands.
This was like one of our first conversations too, that we talked about,
because that was the part that broke my heart. Like we went to this restaurant in Hopkins, like it was like very local, and we sang karaoke, which was a great story, but we sang karaoke and we got to know some of the locals. And I remember one of the girls, she was sharing how she is moving to LA because her husband and her kid is here, and we're like, do you want to go to LA? She's like, no, this is home, but my family's over there, so I'm gonna go. And then we went back to our hotel and we saw this like construction, and there was a woman that came up to us because she heard our accent and she heard that we weren't from Belize, and she tells us, oh my god, you're American. Yeah. She's like, oh, you guys see that mountain? She was bragging about it. She said, you see that mountain over there? And we're like, She's like, yeah, I just bought it, and we're building a hotel. But don't worry, everyone that we're employing is Belizean. And the way that like my blood was boiling, and I like get emotional speaking about it now, because how often does that happen in all of our countries? Yeah. And it's like, how do we make it stop? How do we get our people the resources to buy on our own lands?
There's so many layers to that. There's so many layers to that. And you know, it's like twofold. And I try to be one of those people that's like glass half empty and half full kind of like a mentality, where I'm like, I know like when my mom and my dad like left to come here, it was with the intention of just like building and creating stability for us. And now honestly, like I kind of like I felt it in my chest, so like it's almost like a responsibility on me, or like on my generation. Like, what will you do? You know what I mean? To like give that back, because this is what's happening. Like, people are making this like a tourist town, you know? Yeah. They found out that it's beautiful and that it's cheap and that people will work for cheap, and they found another one. You know what I mean? So it is like gutting. And then at the same time, I'm like, well, let that fuel you. What will you do? You know, my family in Belize, like, they own their own businesses, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it ain't none of that. Like, you know what I mean? It ain't none of that. But it is something that is a bit more commonplace. Like, my last trip to Belize, I didn't see more than like 5 to 10% of like people that looked like me on that plane. Like, yeah. So crazy. And like, people just like kind of there, like, we're gonna go scubaing, and like, did you make the reservation to like this thing? And it's like, right, like, they are helping like the economy through like their tourism and things like that, but like, are you really coming to like uplift this space? Probably not. Like, you're coming to have a good time, you're coming to get nice land for cheap, and you're making this like the new you know, like the new renovation project for, you know, like your vacation home. And I don't know. There's so many layers to it, but I think, you know, the responsibility that like I take on that, and it's weird that like I say that's the immigrant child, like the responsibility that like I take on this. But I think
that everyone, all children of immigrants have this responsibility that we carry, that we ask ourselves. And I love that question that you posed. What will you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that's the question, and that's like the responsibility that like inherently like lives like within me. I think for most things, it's like, well, what will you do about it? You know, like, your parents didn't complain about, you know, like the state of like their lives, or like how they came up, or like, you know, all of these things. They did something. Like, they did something every single time. Like, you know, like when there wasn't enough like work or like money, like, she figured it out, he figured it out. Like, what will you do? And I'm navigating an entirely different landscape, you are too, than like maybe like what like our parents were. But what will you do? Because for them at that time, it was also completely new. So what will you do?
Just end it there. Wrap it up. I kind of want to do something fun with you. Yeah. I've never done this on another podcast.
Love new things.
So it's a little segment, but I want to do a cultural fun facts rapid fire with you.
Okay. Ooh, I'm scared.
Rapid fire, because I know I'm bad at rapid fire. Ooh. I'm like, I will go on a tangent.
Okay.
But I want to talk about it because I don't think Belize gets enough love. I don't think Central America gets enough love.
Talk to him.
You know,
let him know.
Central America does not get a lot of love, but it's also because we all come here and we want to assimilate, and there's no huge diasporas that come, right? And like take over media. We're not represented in media.
Yeah.
And I think when we have someone in our community shine, though, we all do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm like, how do we make everyone have a piece of the pie? And this is why I love this space. This podcast is meant for that, so that we all have a mic. All of us. Every single country, every single nation, every single group, every single, literally every single person in our lands deserve a mic.
Yeah.
And you know, if they're not going to do it, we need to do it.
Well, thank you for making the space. If I might just add into that, because not everybody does, not everybody has. So just you using your gifting to do that is like so important. So thank you.
Love you, girl.
Yeah, me too.
You ready for this?
Let's do it.
So if you've never heard about Belize, we about to be put on. Okay. What's a traditional Belizean dish everyone has to try at least once?
Ooh, stewed chicken and rice and beans.
So you're inviting us next time?
Absolutely. My mom makes it the best.
Okay, period, mama.
Yeah.
Okay. What's a festival, a ritual, a celebration that captures the spirit of Belize?
Oh my gosh. Celebration, Independence Day, September. The 10th of September and September 21st.
Both? Okay, tell us about that.
10th of September. I actually kind of forget every single time. You asked me this actually recently.
Did I? Yeah, because you posted about it.
Yeah, so our actual Independence Day is September 21st, but September 10th is like the beginning of something.
Like a paper was signed or something was signed.
But it's 2 days. The 10th of September, you'll hear them the 10th of September. And then like September 21st.
Something surprising about the language, music, or humor of Belizean people.
Oh, something surprising about it. People often think that we're Jamaican, or like can't tell the difference between like Jamaican patois and Belizean Creole. There is a difference.
What's the difference?
I'm trying to think of like a phrasing like, Wetiguan is like, you know, like that's how we say like what's going on. And I think in Jamaica, like in Patois, it's like really similar, but you have to Google it. It's a little bit different.
She's like, I won't do that.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go into it.
Okay, speaking of, what's one Belizean slang or phrase that you love, and what does it mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm like hearing like my uncle's voice in my head right now.
What's your uncle's name?
I call him Uncle Jimbo. His name is James.
Hey, James.
Yeah. Dang. What? I'm trying to think of something like rapid fire. I would need to be like in conversation with him. Like what I just said with like Wetiguan. We have so many like little like insiders though, so I can't think of anything right off.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, come back.
Coolest Belizean celebrity or artist we need to follow.
Ooh, I think right now I don't know that she's actually Belizean, but Shensia is a really big one. People know her name. She actually just recently did a tour in America last year, so that was really, really big. Ooh. All the Belizeans came out to see her. She's a good one, Shensia. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
What's one song that is like every Belizean listens to, every Belizean knows?
Murder I.
Oh, she's
that's
a
one.
singer.
That's one. Some things I don't also like know the name of either. But if anything Beanie Man, anything Kess, anything Barris Hammond, like, you know, those are the guys. Anything from them.
Love that. Okay, we're gonna circle back.
Oh my god.
You got it? The phrase or slang.
I feel like we're so inappropriate, which is honestly.
We can be inappropriate on here. So it's okay. It's okay. You know what's funny is that Hondurans have this too. We say todos en doble sentido, which everything has a double meaning.
Yeah.
Like it's like inappropriate meanings. Like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah. No, because I'm like, think of everything that I can think of from like my uncle. I'm like, I would never want you to say that ever out loud in public. So I'm going to save it. Y'all just have to look them up. And if I ever make it back on the pod, I'll put it in the comments whenever this comes up.
So this question, I always ask it, but I always phrase it differently. And with you, I was really called to like phrase it in a very specific way. And so I'm going to read it. For our listeners, many Latinos, everyone, first gen or immigrant. For those that are asking, where do I belong? How much of my heritage do I carry? How much do I let go? What would you say to them?
Where do you belong? How much of it do you carry? And how much do you let go? Let go of none. Carry it all. And you belong anywhere that you stand, you know? That's real. That's the truth. And we create the spaces that we belong in. So continue to build is what I would say.
Girl. Yeah. Mic drop moment. Okay, we're gonna wrap up, and you're powerful in terms of manifestation, but I always end with these two questions. What is one part of the culture that you're keeping forever, that you're like holding with you forever? It could be a custom, it could be a belief, it could be an ideology. And what's one part of the culture that you're reshaping?
Yeah,
whether that's pressure, first gen, being the youngest, like what's one part that you're carrying forever that's like forever part of you, and then was one part that you're just reshaping a little bit?
I am forever carrying like the spirit of community and the spirit of hope forever. Forever I could like cry about it forever, because I think that that's like within all of us. Like it has to be, you know, has to be. We need each other, and we need to believe that there's always more. You know, so have to.
And community carries us.
Yeah. And
you're talking about little Belize. I'm like, your family found home there because community.
Oh my gosh. Even living alone now and like living in that area, like I feel carried just by knowing that there's a shop where I can ship my freights, and there's Belizean food down the street, and I can hear somebody at Target that speaks the same dialect as like my grandparents and my mom, you know, like I'm carried by that. Yeah. And one thing that I'm reshaping, one thing that I'm reshaping is, you know, emotional barriers. Like we can push past that. We can cry. We can cry. We can let other people see it, and we can let other people embrace us beyond, you know, just like the joy and like the good times. Because there is sorrow, there's pain, there is a lot of trauma, and we can reshape this to make us even closer, you know? So yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, you're powerful in manifestation. I always end with this question. What do you want to manifest for our first generation community?
What I want to manifest for us, without pressure, I want to manifest leadership, you know, and I think it's already happening. I think that we've already picked up our crowns and like, you know, kind of started to like build our spaces. I think that we're already doing it. So I say it with so much love. Like if there's hesitation in, you know, your voice or like in you leading, like let's move it forward. Let's move it forward. And we're so much stronger when we lead together. You know, we were born to lead because like that is what got our parents here in the first place. They led the path and now we just need to pick it up and keep running. So yeah.
You know, they say that first gens were the trailblazers, but I think the OGs are their parents. The ones that literally blazed the trails to come here and build from nothing. Girl. Yeah. From nothing. And they're like, okay, go ahead.
And now we lead the charge, and what will we do with, like, what is ahead of us, you know? I think that that's what we're called to do, is forging that path now.
Okay, I know I said last question, but I'm called to ask you this. If little Brianna's watching right now, and you can speak to her, and she can have one takeaway from this whole thing, what would you say? First of all, what is she doing? What does little Brianna look like? What is she doing? Yeah. And what would you say to her?
I recently had a dream about her. It's very, very real and like very tangible. And she was sitting on this velvet couch that I remember when we were younger, and she just looked really sad. And all I did was like, oh my gosh, like it's you. And she said nothing. And I just like ran to her and I just said like, I love you. I love you. And I think that that's what she needed to hear, you know, like this version of her that is navigating the nuance and feels other and is confused about her identity and where she belongs and who she is. It doesn't last. I mean, it does, but you alchemize that and you are so loved in the process of just being who you are now, then, and you will always be. So I would tell her that, like, you're so loved and it's all gonna be okay. It's all working out for you. And I'm so proud of you, even now, little.
I love you. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story, for representing Belize. And I hope you know you always have community here. Always, always.
Cry. I'll bite this mic.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, my love. I need to hug you. I need to hug you.